For 17 long years, the world has talked about Michael Jackson. The headlines never stopped. The debates never ended. The questions never went away. But the one voice many people kept waiting to hear from was his mother. Now, at over 95 years old, Katherine Jackson has finally spoken more openly than ever about her son. And what she said isn't glamorous. It isn't polished. It's painful. She talked about the little boys she raised, the fear inside their home, the pressure, the people around him later in life, and the guilt she still carries. To understand what she revealed, you have to go all the way back. Back before the fame, before the surgeries, before the trials, before the night in Los Angeles when everything ended. Back to a small house in Gary. Back to a shy little boy named Michael. Michael Joseph Jackson was born on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana. Gary wasn't Hollywood. It wasn't Beverly Hills. It was a tough steel town. Loud factories, long shifts, small homes packed close together. Most families were just trying to survive. The Jackson family lived in a tiny two-bedroom house on Jackson Street. 9 kids, 2 parents, 1 bathroom, no privacy. Money was always tight. His father, Joe Jackson, worked long hours at a steel mill. His mother, Katherine, stayed home with the kids and was deeply religious. She filled the house with church music and strict values. Michael was small, quiet, sensitive. Katherine has said many times that Michael cried easily. Loud noises scared him. He didn't like arguments. He would hide behind her when visitors came over. But Joe saw something different. Joe had once dreamed of becoming a musician himself. That dream didn't work out. So when he noticed his sons had rhythm, he grabbed the opportunity hard. Rehearsals started in the living room. They weren't gentle. Joe demanded perfection. If a step was wrong, he would stop the music immediately. If a note was off, he would shout. The boys practiced for hours after school. No hanging out with friends. No normal childhood games in the yard. Michael was only 5 when he officially joined his older brothers in what would become the Jackson 5. At 5 years old, most kids are learning to read. Michael was learning how to hit notes perfectly on command. Katherine has admitted that Joe could be harsh. Very harsh. She said there were times she disagreed with his discipline, but she felt trapped. In that time, in that house, Joe made the rules. Michael later said in interviews that he was terrified of his father. He said just seeing Joe walk into the room made him sick to his stomach. Imagine being a child and feeling fear every time you had to perform. The rehearsals would go late into the night. School came early the next morning. If they messed up on stage at small local shows, Joe would punish them when they got home. Katherine now says something that stands out. She said she believes Michael never fully recovered from those early years. Not physically, not emotionally. She said he learned very young that love was connected to performance. That applause meant approval. That silence meant failure. When the Jackson 5 started winning local talent shows around Gary and nearby cities, the pressure only increased. Joe saw the door opening, and he pushed harder. There are stories of Michael practicing spins until his feet hurt, of rehearsing harmonies until his voice cracked. He didn't complain much. He wanted to make his mother proud. Katherine has said Michael would sit next to her after rehearsals and quietly ask, "Was I good?" Not, "Did I win?" Not, "Did they clap?" Just, "Was I good?" By age 8, his talent was undeniable. His voice was powerful but sweet. He could move like someone twice his age. Crowds couldn't take their eyes off him. But inside that tiny house in Gary, he was still just a little boy trying not to mess up. When Motown scouts finally noticed them, everything changed. Joe packed up the family dream and headed toward Detroit. Contracts were signed with Motown Records. Suddenly, the Jackson family wasn't just another family from Gary. They were rising stars. But Katherine has said the success didn't erase what came before it. She recently admitted that sometimes she wonders if things would have been different if Michael had been allowed to just be a child. She said she remembers him watching other kids play outside and quietly turning back to rehearsal instead. No complaints. Just obedience. Fame came fast after that. National television. Hit records. Crowds screaming. But Michael never experienced a normal childhood birthday party. Never had sleepovers with school friends. Never got to fail at something without the whole world noticing. Katherine says the world saw a confident performer. She saw a little boy who still wanted comfort. She says even after the fame, even after the money, even after the awards, that little boy never really disappeared. And that's where the story truly begins. When the family signed with Motown Records, everything moved fast. They relocated to California, and suddenly the small-town boys from Gary were standing inside professional studios. Real producers, real cameras, real pressure. Michael was only 11 years old when I Want You Back hit #1. Think about that for a second. 11. Most kids that age are worried about homework or riding bikes. Michael was flying across the country, doing interviews with grown reporters asking grown questions. He wore matching outfits with his brothers. He smiled on command. He hit every note. But behind the stage lights, he was exhausted. The Jackson 5 kept releasing hit after hit. ABC, The Love You Save, I'll Be There. Each song pushed them higher. Each appearance made the crowds louder. Katherine has said that Michael rarely complained about the schedule. He was a perfectionist even then. But she noticed small things. He would fall asleep in cars between shows. He would eat quickly and rush back to rehearsal without being told. He wanted to be the best. There were moments when reporters treated him like a cute kid. They'd pat his head, ask him silly questions. But the music executives didn't see a child. They saw a product, a voice, a star that had to stay on top. Michael later admitted that those years felt lonely. He was surrounded by people constantly. Managers, fans, producers, bodyguards, but not many real friends. Not many kids his own age who understood what his life looked like. Katherine says she tried to protect him. She kept strong rules. No wild parties. No drinking. No smoking. Church was still important. Family dinners when possible. But the spotlight was too bright to control. He started noticing how he looked on TV. Noticing comments. Noticing jokes. People teased him about his nose, his skin, his appearance. That's when insecurity slowly started growing. By the time he was a teenager, Michael wanted something more than just being the lead singer of the Jackson 5. He wanted his own identity. He loved his brothers, but he wanted control. And that desire would lead him to break away. In the mid-1970s, the family left Motown and signed with Epic Records. That move gave Michael more creative freedom. You could see the shift immediately. He wasn't just singing anymore. He was shaping the sound, choosing producers, writing songs. In 1979, he released Off the Wall. It was different, funky, fresh, adult. Then came 1982, Thriller. No one could have predicted what would happen next. Billie Jean, Beat It, Thriller. The music videos changed the entire industry. The moonwalk performance shocked the world. MTV played him constantly. He wasn't just famous anymore. He was global. He became the king of pop. But with that title came something darker. The pressure doubled. Every album had to be bigger than the last. Every performance had to top the previous one. The media followed him everywhere. And that's when people started talking about his appearance constantly. The plastic surgery rumors, the skin condition, the jokes, the headlines. Michael said he had vitiligo, a skin disorder. Katherine supported that. She said she saw the condition with her own eyes. She watched him try to cover patches with makeup. She watched him become self-conscious. But the world didn't care about details. They cared about gossip. Katherine says those years hurt him deeply. He was sensitive. Always had been. And now the entire planet was analyzing his face. Still, he kept working. Tours across continents. Stadiums packed with screaming fans. Awards stacked on shelves. At home, though, Katherine says he would sometimes sit quietly. He'd ask her, "Why do they say those things about me?" She didn't always have answers. The fame that once felt exciting started feeling heavy, and that weight would only grow in the next decade. In the late 1980s, Michael bought a massive property in California called Neverland Ranch. It wasn't just a house. It had rides, a small zoo, a movie theater. People laughed at it, called it strange. But Katherine says she understood why he built it. He never had a childhood. He once told her he just wanted a place where he could feel safe. A place where laughter didn't come with pressure. He invited sick children and underprivileged kids to visit. He paid for hospital bills quietly. He donated millions to charities. But the media didn't focus on that. They focused on the sleepovers. That's when suspicion began. In 1993, allegations surfaced that he had behaved inappropriately with a child. The world exploded. Headlines everywhere. Cameras outside gates. Michael denied everything. Katherine stood beside him. She says those months were some of the hardest of her life. Watching her son accused on television. Seeing people turn against him overnight. A settlement was reached. No criminal conviction at that time. But the damage was done. Michael became more isolated. He trusted fewer people. He spent more time inside Neverland. Fewer public appearances. Fewer interviews. Katherine says she saw him become anxious. Paranoid about betrayal. Unsure who truly cared about him. The little boy who once asked, "Was I good?" now asked, "Why don't they believe me?" And the storm wasn't over yet. In 2005, Michael faced criminal charges again. This time, it went to trial in Santa Maria. For months, he sat in a courtroom while witnesses testified. Cameras followed him daily. Reporters analyzed every facial expression. Katherine was there almost every day. She said walking into that courtroom felt like walking into a nightmare. Michael looked thin, pale, tired. He wore suits. He waved to fans outside. But inside, she says, he was breaking. The prosecution painted him as dangerous. The defense fought back hard. Former employees testified. Former friends. It became a media circus. After a long trial, he was found not guilty on all counts. You'd think that would bring relief. But Katherine says something surprising. She says even after the not guilty verdict, Michael didn't feel free. He felt damaged. His reputation had been dragged through the mud for years. Endorsements were gone. Public trust was shaky. Financial problems started surfacing. He left the United States for a while. Lived overseas. Tried to escape the noise. Katherine says he seemed calmer away from Hollywood. But he was still carrying the weight. The legal fees had cost millions. Neverland was expensive to maintain. Business deals didn't always go well. And people were still whispering. She says by the late 2000s, he felt cornered financially and emotionally. That's when the idea of a massive comeback started forming. A final tour. A return to the stage. A chance to prove he still had it. And that decision would change everything. By 2008, the money problems were no longer rumors. Reports said Michael owed millions. Loans stacked up. Lawsuits. Missed payments. Neverland Ranch had already slipped from his control. The place that once felt like his safe world was no longer fully his. Katherine says that hurt him more than people realized. Neverland wasn't just property. It was his attempt at building the childhood he never had. Losing it felt personal. At the same time, people around him were pushing hard for a comeback. Promoters saw opportunity. Fans still loved him. The world hadn't forgotten the king of pop. In March 2009, Michael stood in front of cameras in London and announced what would be his final concert series. This is it. He looked thin but excited. Soft-spoken. A little nervous. He told the crowd, "This is it. This is the final curtain call." The original plan was just 10 shows at the O2 Arena. But ticket demand exploded. The number grew to 50 shows. 50. Katherine later said she was worried the moment she heard that number. Michael was 50 years old. He hadn't toured in years. His body had been through injuries. Burn accidents from the 1984 Pepsi commercial. Surgeries. Painkillers over the years. Stress that never really stopped. But he felt trapped. Katherine says he told her he needed to do it. He said he had to fix his finances. Had to secure his children's future. Had to show the world he still had the magic. Rehearsals began in Los Angeles. Dancers described him as focused, determined. He still knew every move. Still cared about every detail. Lighting, timing, sound. He wanted perfection, just like when he was a child rehearsing in Gary. But behind the scenes, there were warning signs. He wasn't sleeping. That's what Katherine says troubled her the most. He complained about insomnia for years, but in 2009 it had become severe. He would lie awake for nights. Doctors were brought in quietly. Different medications tried. She says he told her, "I just need rest." He had always struggled with trust, especially after the trials. Now he was surrounded by managers, promoters, security, medical staff. Everyone had opinions about what he needed. Dr. Conrad Murray entered his life during this time. Murray was hired as his personal physician for the tour. Katherine has said she didn't fully understand what kind of treatments her son was receiving. She trusted that licensed doctors would protect him. But Michael's schedule was intense. Day rehearsals, late nights, planning meetings, costume fittings, choreography changes. People who saw him said he sometimes looked fragile. Other days he looked strong and energized. There were whispers that he was under too much pressure, that 50 shows were unrealistic, that insurance companies had concerns. Katherine says when she visited him during rehearsals, he seemed determined but tired. Very tired. He hugged her, kissed her cheek, told her everything would be fine. She says she wanted to believe him. She says she tried to believe him, but she felt something wasn't right. June 25, 2009. It started like any other rehearsal day in Los Angeles. Michael had been practicing at the Staples Center the night before. Dancers later said he seemed happy, engaged, even playful at times. He returned to his rented mansion in the Holmby Hills area early in the morning hours. According to court testimony later, he still couldn't sleep. Dr. Conrad Murray was with him that night. Murray would later admit to giving Michael different medications to help him rest. Eventually, he administered propofol, a powerful surgical anesthetic not meant for home use. Katherine says she didn't know the details that morning. She was at home when the call came. Something was wrong. Around midday, a 911 call was placed from the house. Michael was not breathing. Paramedics arrived. They performed CPR. They rushed him to the hospital. He was taken to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center. Katherine and other family members hurried there. Cameras were already gathering outside. News helicopters circled overhead. Inside the hospital, doctors worked on him for more than an hour. At 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was pronounced dead. He was 50 years old. Katherine has described that moment as unreal. She says she kept thinking it was a mistake, a misunderstanding, that he would sit up and speak. But he didn't. The official cause of death was acute propofol intoxication combined with other sedatives. The world went into shock. Fans cried in the streets. Radio stations played his music non-stop. Tributes poured in from every country. But behind closed doors, Katherine was grieving as a mother. She has said she immediately had questions. Why was such a strong drug being used at home? Why wasn't proper medical equipment there? Why was her son alone in that condition? Dr. Conrad Murray was charged with involuntary manslaughter. In 2011, he was found guilty and sentenced to prison. Katherine attended the trial. She listened to medical experts describe what happened in detail. She heard the timeline, the dosage, the failures in care. She says it was painful beyond words to hear her son's final hours explained like a medical report. Even after the conviction, she says the pain didn't go away. Because in her heart, she believes more than one person failed him. She believes the pressure, the debt, the demands, the sleepless nights, all of it built up slowly. And that night was the breaking point. But 17 years later, what she has now revealed goes even deeper than just the doctor in the room. 4 years after Michael's death, Katherine Jackson stayed mostly quiet in public. She attended memorials. She stood with her grandchildren. She appeared in court when needed. But when it came to speaking deeply about what she believed really happened to her son, she held back. Until recently. Now in her 90s, Katherine has spoken more openly in private conversations and legal settings, and what she's shared isn't comfortable. She says she believes Michael was under extreme pressure in the final year of his life, not just from the tour, but from business deals he felt forced into. According to Katherine, Michael didn't originally want 50 shows in London. She says he agreed because he felt boxed in financially. She believes powerful people around him knew he was vulnerable and pushed him anyway. She has said that her son was exhausted long before June 2009. He wasn't sleeping, she revealed. He needed rest, not more work. Katherine believes the environment around him became unhealthy. She says too many decisions were being made for him. Contracts, deadlines, rehearsals, travel plans, all while he was physically worn down. She has also spoken about Dr. Conrad Murray again, but this time her tone was different. She said she feels the doctor was careless, but she also believes he was not the only one responsible. In her view, there were systems in place that failed her son. She questions why a man who hadn't toured in years was suddenly expected to perform 50 massive shows without serious medical supervision. She questions why stronger safeguards weren't required. She has even suggested that her son trusted too easily when he was tired and desperate for sleep. One of the hardest things Katherine admitted was guilt. She said she sometimes asks herself if she should have stepped in harder, if she should have told him to cancel the tour, if she should have demanded to know every medication he was taking. But she also knows Michael was 50 years old, a grown man, a global superstar. She couldn't control his life the way she could when he was 5 in Gary. Still, she says that doesn't stop the thoughts. She also addressed the accusations that followed him for years. Katherine has always defended her son, and she continues to do so strongly. She says she raised him with strict values. She says she never saw behavior that matched the claims. She believes he was misunderstood, and she believes his kindness toward children was twisted by the media. But she admitted something deeper this time. She said Michael was emotionally fragile. Not evil, not dangerous, fragile. She believes his childhood, the fear of his father, the endless rehearsals, the lack of normal friendships, left scars that never healed. She says he tried to create joy through Neverland because he was still chasing something he never had. And she believes the world never allowed him to fully explain himself. In her own words, she said, "He was still that little boy. That's the part that still breaks her voice when she speaks." 17 years have passed since that day in June 2009. The Jackson family looks different now. The children Michael left behind, Prince, Paris, and Blanket, are grown. They speak occasionally about their father, protecting his memory in their own ways. Katherine has spent much of her later life focused on them. She became their legal guardian after his death. She tried to give them stability, something she believes Michael never truly had. But even as time moves forward, the questions haven't disappeared. There are still documentaries, still debates, still divided opinions. Katherine says that's one of the hardest parts. She feels like her son is constantly on trial even after death. She has also spoken about the business battles that continued after he passed. Disputes over his estate, disagreements within the family, legal fights over music catalogs and deals. The stress didn't fully stop. At her age, she says she values peace more than anything. But peace hasn't come easily. She admits there are nights she lies awake thinking about the last time she saw him, the last hug, the last words. She has said that she wishes he had slowed down, that she wishes someone had forced him to rest. And then there's the bigger truth she revealed. She believes fame saved him and destroyed him at the same time. Without it, he wouldn't have become the global icon the world loves. Without it, he might not have faced the crushing pressure, the accusations, the isolation, the sleepless nights. She says people often talk about Michael Jackson, the legend. She remembers Michael the son, the boy in Gary who asked if he did a good job, the teenager who worried about his skin, the man who just wanted to sleep. When she speaks now, her voice isn't angry. It's tired, honest, direct. She says the bad part isn't some hidden secret or shocking confession. It's that her son was overwhelmed, overworked, and surrounded by people who should have protected him better. It's that he carried childhood wounds into adulthood. It's that even after courts cleared him, Doubt followed him everywhere. And it's that on his final night, he was still searching for rest. Katherine says she prays for him every day. And after 17 years, the silence is finally broken. Not with drama, but with the quiet pain of a mother who never stopped loving her child.